Welcome everyone. Today I have a new guide for Path of Exile 2 Season 2. So looking behind me, I'm currently a Lich Summoner with Skeleton Arsonist, and I want to demonstrate the current build with you guys for the Day 1 update. And of course in the future, I'll be updating this setup and also the combos with you guys as we go through to the end game and also progress with better gears. So what is the highlight of my current Lich build is that currently I have a lot of decent mana sustain together with 8 Skeleton Arsonists that can be summoned with a lot of AoE damage, a lot of flame damage, of fire damage, and also summoning a lot of the Raging Flame Spirit. You can see that my mana is getting topped up not because of constantly using potions, which we'll still use it for the boss, but we are killing monsters and recovering maximum mana because of this. There's also a number of ways of getting more mana, which will be a massive scaling factor in the future as we stack more mana for more magnitude of Unholy Strength. So for those of you that is not familiar with Unholy Strength coming from the Lich, this is the ability that provides us with the minions and also our character with 30% all damage as extra chaos damage, which means we can deal a lot more damage because of this buff. And this can also be amplified and also scales towards maximum mana with 4% magnitude per 100 mana. Now, of course, those are the in-game scaling factors which we'll discuss and also build into in the future. So let's briefly have a look at my damage against the boss. Now I have to say, my gears are pretty decent, but they're not going to be the strongest because we're still in the story mode, right? So you can see that our damage against the boss is pretty sizable. I'm still missing a lot of crucial passive points, which will greatly enhance our increased damage dealt in terms of extra chaos damage and also extra survivability. And you can see that within about 30 seconds, we can push the boss quickly down to the second mode. And once we get to the second phase, and also the boss talk a little bit, we go to the final phase. And you can see again, we do pretty sizable damage. I don't think it is as super broken as some of the other classes, but the Lich definitely has some really good early game potential and also some late game scaling. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm constantly summoning Raging Spirits, and this will allow me to use Flame Walls to summon those Raging Spirits. You can see it's constantly about 4, 6 or 8 of them, and I'm debuffing the monsters with flammability and also summoning my Ritual for additional minion damage. And most of the time, the build is quite safe, and once I have Mind Over Matter, which I'll talk to you guys about it, you will become even more durable as you stack more mana. And that pretty much summarizes the entire fight for the Act 2 boss. Now at the end of the video, I'll also go through my gears and also choices at this stage of the game. And of course, I'll have a part to teach you guys how to acquire those gears in the early game when they can be a little more expensive. So now coming over to my character, and let's take things one step at a time. At the very start of the early game, I was using Skeleton Snipers, and then I decided to use the Skeleton Arsonists for more AoE damage. It is really a personal choice between the two, both of them seems to be working well. The reason I decided to go with Skeleton Arsonist is because the ability to use Magnify effect and also shoot triple projectiles because of the scatter shot, which also benefit from the buffs coming from the Flame Wall. So one tip for you guys in the very early game, if you do have this ability with Contagion, it is a very good ability before you get enough Skeleton Arsonists to do enough AoE. Once you have enough Arsonists, you don't really need this ability anymore. You can see on my skill bar. But other than that, those early game abilities, Skeleton Snipers, Contagion, is very good for the early few levels. And of course, Unearth is also great for the early game, but I stopped using those. So, at the moment, I am not using a Summoning Skeleton Warrior Staff, the Rattling Scepter. I'm using a Matter Scepter. I wouldn't say this is going to be the best scepter base of choice, but simply because I was able to buy this one for 3 Exalt with plus 2 minion skills and also 36 spirits. And this is the reason I went for this scepter. You want a lot of plus minion skill ranks, which will greatly help you in the early stage of the game. You can see I was able to find 1 on the helmet, 1 on the amulet, and also 1 or 2 on the scepter at the moment. Now, as we continue to go through the choice of the skills, I have bought a Lesser Jeweler's Orb for 1 Exalt to have 3 socketing. You can buy this quite early in the game, the Lesser Jeweler's Orb, and they cost around 1 Exalt or 1 Alchemy Orb, which I'll teach you guys how I made some of the currencies. So here I'm combining my Skeleton Arsonist with Scattershot, with Magnify Effect, and also Martial Tempo. because I want to save some of the supported gems for my Summoning Raging Spirit. For my Flame Wall, we have Arcane Temple and also Fortress. For my Flame ability, we have Heightened Curse. In terms of the Raging Spirit, again, I was able to buy the Lesser Jeweler's Orb for 1 Alchemy Orb. And here we have Fire Infusion, Last Grabs, which is not working by the way. I tried it, it's not working. And finally we have Minion Instability. Now what I'm planning to do is I'm looking for my third supporting gem. So if I come over to my Builder's Guide, you can see in my Builder's Guide, I'm waiting for my level 2 Infernal Legion, and this will enhance the damage my Raging Spirit can deal, and they will automatically explode with Minion Instability. And finally, at the moment, I'm using Pen Offering together with Persistence, and this allows me to have pretty much no problem throughout the campaign, and we're very durable and also deals tons of damage. Now briefly going through the gear of choice, and if you have seen the Builder's Guide, you can see those are the gears I have been looking for, and I was trying to buy them for around 1 Exalt to 3 Exalt each. And if you guys look at the second tab, I have transitioned almost to this particular setup. So I haven't been able to purchase this item. The I cannot pronounce the name of this item. This +2 minion skill mace is too expensive for me, so I have not bought this. Now at the moment we have +2 to minion skills, we have +1 to minion skills, and also +1 to minion skills. For the chest piece, I have spent 10 Exalt to buy this chest piece. It is not the cheapest, but this gives me tons of more spirit, which will translate into more summons. One of the highlights for the current build is I have 8 summons of Skeleton Arsonist, which gives me tons of AoE damage and also boss single target damage. So in terms of this piece, I'll teach you guys some of the tricks I have in early game in buying those items. As for the rings, we're looking for more stats, strength, intelligence, dexterity, anything that allows us to have the gears ready, that would be great. Also a bit of mana gain on kill, mana regeneration, resistance is also great. And in terms of the shield, I was lucky enough, if you saw the previous video, to find this shield very early stage of the game. This wouldn't be the best shield for the build, but it's actually not bad. You gain tons of mana, which can be used for Mind Over Matter. You also gain a bit of resistance. But of course, you don't gain additional stats coming from additional life and also additional stats with a rare shield. So likely I will be replacing this. Now, I was able to acquire the crucial gears for my current build with Gravebind, which allows me to be gaining mana on kill through my minions. And this is of course combined with the gems over here. So do keep in mind the juice socketing for the current changed passive tree is much less. You have much less juice sockets, and this will of course somewhat benefit having this ability on my second ascension, which I'll be socketing a very powerful Jew coming over here into that socket, and then we'll be gaining even more mana on killing enemies, which allows me to go into Mind Over Matter. So at the moment, as I go through the map, I have no problem with mana sustain, because as my minion kills enemies, I will be able to regenerate a lot of mana. And against the boss, this build is quite good, even though it doesn't give us the raw stats like maximum life, which is compensated by having rings with maximum life. This build provides us with some damage recoup as mana, some resistance, and also some bonus mana, which can be useful. Finally, one of the crucial ways of getting more summons for the build is of course these boots. Those boots were not cheap. Again, the entire build cost me around 25 to 30 Exalt. So most of the time today, I was actually trading and also flipping to make the build work and also to test the setup. So one of the ways to get 8 summons with Skeleton Arsonist is using those setup boots with 20% reservation and then rushing all the way over here for the 12% reservation. This allows me to have the cost of each of additional minion to be much lesser. And because of this, I was able to summon up to 8 of them before getting a lot of permanent spirit in the later stage of the game. Now in terms of the passive tree, previously in the choices of the talent tree or the passive tree in the Builder's Guide, I went over here, but at this moment I will still be coming back to those points, but I have prioritized on getting more damage. So area of effect, cooldown recovery, additional elemental resistance, those are great, but what I'm trying to do is I have tried to path over here for the reservation and then pathing over here for the chance of inflicting weather. which will increase the damage of chaos damage enemy taken up to 10 times, so up to 50% increased chaos damage taken, which is going to be really good for the build, especially coming with a Lich. And this is my current setup, but I'll be following my builder's guide for the rest of the setup as I get more levels. Now, because this is more of a day one build and this is a very early game build, I actually want to teach you guys how I was able to get a lot of expensive or decent gears at this stage of the game. So how it started was I was able to trade a number of orbs. What I realized, similar to previously, is that you can be trying to flip orbs. So here is my current listing. You can see I'm selling those for 1 exalt each, and I'm trying to buy those for much more expensive price. So basically, I'm like a middleman. I'm trading those for 1 to 1, but I'm buying those for like 1 to 3 or 1 to 2. And this makes pretty sizable profit. Over the period of 3 to 4 hours, I was able to make over 10 exalt just by using this particular setup. And I'm not hiding this, I'll show you guys everything. And yes, I have been selling a lot of spirit gems. A lot of players do like to buy the spirit gems. I was able to sell a number of them for 1 exalt, but then I got greedy and I started selling them for 2 exalt. So I was actually selling a number of spirit gems, and some of the uncut gems seems to be selling as well. You can see I'm selling the gems over here. And of course, I have been selling in masses. All of the items I have acquired, I have been selling them over here. And you can see everything is listed for regular orbs, alchemy orbs, exalt, and also more exalt. So this way, I was able to generate a lot of economy and also a lot of currency as I played the game. And of course, by selling items, I was able to make about 10 to 15 exalt. By flipping items, I made another 10 to 15 exalt. And finally, I start to buy items which I need later in the game, like the +2 helmet over here. But just happens to be about 2 of those, because I realize they're quite cheap at the moment. And later I know the price will go up. I think I bought this one for about 3 exalt. I'm a little greedy selling this one for 15, I put it to 14. So those are some of the ways I was able to generate a lot of early game currencies in the game in order to buy those items. So this should help you guys to see the day one build for my Lich Summoner and also the ways I was able to get some of those items. Now, if you guys are following the builder's guide, you can see over here I have updated the builder's guide a little bit, especially using these skills for the early game. And you can see on the second part of the builder's guide, I have recommended to start using Skeleton Arsenals once you have enough spirit. And you can see I'm almost complete on the second version, but in order to get the final version, this will take some time. So if you're following the builder's guide, everything is as I'm following at the moment, but I'll also be updating the builder's guide. And just as we're saying, look at this. So one of my spirit gems just got sold. So notice that some of the spirit gems, no matter what the level they are, a lot of people want to buy them for 1 exalt. I was greedy, I was selling them for 2 exalt. But look at this. So one of the spirit gem was able to sell very, very quickly. I think I should teleport to them up there here. So this is how I was able to make a lot of exalt. Just by selling uncut gems, you'll be surprised. A lot of players will easily buy a lot of low-level uncut gems for regular orbs, for alchemy orbs, for a lot of things. Okay, everyone wants this gem for 1 exalt, so you can see the ways of making more currencies. And before I finish, I do want to mention my plan is to get a lot more juice sockets, like one over here, there's one over here, and there is one over here. Once I get those juice sockets, I will be able to socket similar gems to recover a lot of mana. And once that happens, I will be able to get Mind Over Matter to become even more durable. Oh, look at this. I'll be able to sell more items. So basically, notice over here, what I was telling you guys works pretty well. And here we can be buying exalted orbs and selling chaos orbs, and flipping those orbs gives you a lot more currency. A little bit touch up on what is my future plan for the build. Notice over here that in the future, what I'm planning to do is on my second ascension, I'm planning to come over here. And then I'm going to pick my strongest Jew to be socketed over there. And then in order to have the less mana cost, or not having the 50% more mana cost, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to go with Mind Over Matter with more mana recovery. But at the moment, I decide to not go with Mind Over Matter because I do not have enough mana recovery. I'm actually losing mana constantly with the current setup. I'll be updating and also telling you guys what is the breakpoint. And finally, on the third ascension, I'll be stacking a lot of mana on my build, and this will give me more survivability with Mind Over Matter, with even more magnitude of Unholy Might for even higher damage. So stay tuned, and I'll also be updating this build quite regularly with you guys for this new season. I also attached this short replay of the currently day 1 demonstration of my Lich.
Bow before your king.
The Memeber must bow. We submit to our finish.
For my people.
No matter.
The Mattjestic will pay.
We're running out of time. End this.
My queen.
What are you
Take
doing?
me. I don't have time for this. Sand. Bends to my will. Impede my enemies. We will have blood. We will blot out the sun. Forge our hate. I will erase you. The era of the Paladin is now. We will blot out the sun. Win to me. Cannot give up. Endless hate! The Paladin is now! Die! Ulasakama!
Stop dead! It is done.
Now before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on the official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is gonna be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.